Climate change is an issue that is having increasingly expeditious and alarming effects on the environment. The increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide happens to be the single greatest threat to coral reefs worldwide. Florida has the third largest barrier reef in the world, right behind the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and the Belize Barrier Reef. And climate change effects are here and now. In fact, Florida's coral reef tract has been affected by anthropogenic climate change since the 1970s. Some of the climate change effects are ocean acidification, which slows down the rate at which corals grow, rising sea levels, altering of the ocean circulation cycle, changes of the severe storm and hurricane frequencies, intensities, and distributions, and increasing sea temperatures that are resulting in more frequent and more widespread coral bleaching events, where the algae living in the coral tissue that feed it are killed. Scientists project climate change's effects are only going to get worse in the coming years, especially if nothing, or not enough, is done now. For Florida, projections include losing about 8 to 9 inches of coastline due to sea level rise by 2040, and that's just under a moderate scenario where greenhouse gas emissions rise by about 1% each year. Other projections for the state are increases in heavy downpour storms, more major hurricanes, an uptick in annual floating events, a higher number of high heat days, and rising ocean temperatures. For Floridians, all of those projections put increased stress on the Florida reef tract and will lead to further loss of the coral barrier reef system. Losing that reef will mean damage to our coasts and the homes and businesses that populate our shorelines, since the reef provides a physical barrier between ocean and land, dissipating roughly 97% of wave energy, mitigating hurricane damage and coastal erosion, and protecting coastal infrastructure like those homes and businesses. Loss of the barrier reef will also translate into an economic fallout from the loss of the fishing and tourism industries. Coral reefs are home to over 1 million different species, and according to the Coral Restoration Foundation, provide an annual estimated economic value of $9.9 trillion globally. But these projections don't have to come to fruition. They can be lessened or avoided through aggressive legislative climate policies. One type of policy is an adaptation, or a strategy that reduces our vulnerability to environmental and climate cycle changes. Another policy is a mitigation, which addresses the root cause of anthropogenic climate change by reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. The best plan of action involves implementing both adaptive techniques and mitigation strategies. Some ways to do so are supporting coral restoration and conservation, establishing programs that enforce adherence to reducing greenhouse gas emissions from businesses, and enacting policies that are sustainable for the future of coral reefs, for the future of Florida.